If you are shopping for a used Toyota Highlander as a senior, the biggest mistake you can make is assuming every Highlander is automatically a safe buy simply because it wears a Toyota badge. That is how people end up buying the wrong SUV, overpaying for repairs, and turning what should have been a dependable retirement vehicle into a constant source of stress. Toyota built some excellent Highlanders, but they also built certain model years that developed repeat failure patterns, serious enough that mechanics warned buyers about due to repeated problems. And when you are buying as a senior, reliability means something different. You are not chasing horsepower or aggressive styling. You are looking for predictable ownership costs, easy entry and exit, comfortable seats, simple dashboard controls, smooth transmission behavior, strong visibility, and something that will quietly start every morning without threatening you with a surprise $4,000 repair bill. That is why in this video we are breaking down the 4 worst Toyota Highlander years to avoid and the 5 best years to buy as a senior, based on actual failure patterns, recall history, transmission design, owner complaint trends, and the specific comfort issues that should be more relevant to older drivers. And I want to make one thing clear from the beginning. The worst Highlander is not always the oldest one, and the best Highlander is not always the newest one. In fact, one of the newer years people rush to buy is actually one of the worst choices for a senior driver because of how it shifts. Sometimes the smartest buy is the year before Toyota changed something. Let's start off this video with the worst years first because avoiding one bad purchase can save you far more money than chasing the perfect deal. But before we get into it, guys, please take a second to hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe so you don't miss our videos. Now, the first Toyota Highlander year I would tell you as a senior bus year to avoid is the 2003 model, especially if it has the 2.4-liter 2AZFE 4-cylinder engine. The real problem is the 2AZFE engine itself. This engine became notorious for stripped head bolt threads inside the engine block. What happens is the head bolts begin pulling the threads out of the aluminum block, which leads to head gasket failure, coolant leaks, overheating, and eventually major engine damage. And this is not a simple head gasket repair. The proper fix often requires a time-cert thread repair, which usually runs between $3,000 and $4,000, depending on labor rates, or in some cases, a full engine replacement. On a vehicle that may only be worth $5,000 or $6,000, that is not a repair for most seniors on a fixed income. That is a total financial loss. Add in the fact that many first-generation Highlanders also suffer from steering rack leaks, worn suspension bushings, aging electrical systems, and yellowed headlight lenses that reduce night driving safety, and suddenly that cheap purchase price becomes very expensive ownership. If you are looking at a 2003 and the seller says it just needs a little coolant top-up, walk away. Now, this next one catches a lot of buyers because on paper it looks like an upgrade, but in reality it is one of the biggest trap years in the Highlander lineup. The second year to avoid is the 2008 Highlander, and this is the classic example of what I call the redesign curse. People naturally assume newer means better, but first-year redesigns are where manufacturers often introduce new problems before they have had time to correct them. The 2008 Highlander launched the second generation, and while it improved cabin space and ride comfort, it also came with a statistically high number of issues. This model year had 13 separate recalls, which is unusually high for Toyota, and should immediately tell you this was not one of their smoothest launches. Owners reported transmission hesitation, delayed acceleration, oil cooler line failures, steering concerns, and electrical complaints. There were also complaints serious enough that federal investigators later looked into steering-related concerns across that generation. But for senior buyers, one of the most overlooked frustrations is something much simpler: the manual climate control knobs. On many 2008 models, those knobs are known to strip internally and stop functioning correctly, making it difficult or impossible to properly control the heat or air conditioning. That may sound minor until you are driving in extreme summer heat or winter cold and cannot easily adjust cabin comfort. Small daily frustrations like that is more vital in retirement than people realize. Now, let me show you where many people get fooled by appearance alone, because this next year looks modern, feels newer, and tricks buyers into paying more for more problems. The third year to avoid is the 2014 Highlander. Once again, this was the first year of a major redesign, and once again the first year problems showed up. The 2014 looked more modern, had better fuel economy, and attracted buyers with updated styling. But underneath that polished appearance were repeated complaints involving rough transmission behavior, infotainment glitches, brake system concerns, and suspension complaints. But the biggest issue many reviewers ignore, and one senior buyers care about immediately, is the seat comfort problem. The 2014 Highlander developed a strong reputation for hard, uncomfortable front seats. Owners repeatedly described them as rock hard and painful on longer drives. If you are retired and using this SUV for errands, doctor visits, family trips, and longer highway drives, seat comfort is not a luxury feature. It is a daily quality of life issue. Add to that the dashboard layout where the radio and controls require more reach compared to the older 2013 layout, and many seniors actually prefer the older Highlander despite the newer styling. And if you think the 2015 fixed all of that, this is where a lot of buyers make an expensive mistake. The fourth year I would be cautious about is the 2015 Highlander, though has been improved slightly over the 2014 model. However, it continues to get the same complaints as the previous year, and so I still would not recommend it as a stress-free senior ownership vehicle. Air conditioning condenser failures, brake concerns, fuel system complaints, and continued complaints about rough shifting remained common discussion points among owners. And again, the seat comfort issue did not magically disappear. Many seniors buy the 2015 thinking they are avoiding the first-year redesign problems of 2014, but in reality, they are often inheriting many of the same frustrations with slightly better marketing. If you have owned a Toyota Highlander before, leave a comment with the year you had it and whether it was reliable or gave you problems. That can help other buyers compare real owner experiences before they spend their money. Now, let us move on to the Highlander years. I would actually recommend the ones that make sense for long-term senior ownership, something that will give you peace of mind. And this first one is the secret pick that many buyers completely overlook. The first best year is the 2007 Highlander. This is what I call the hidden gem of the first generation. It is widely considered one of the best years because it benefits from Toyota refining the platform before moving to the next redesign. More importantly, it came with the updated 3.5-liter V6, the 2GR-FE engine, which is one of the best V6 engines Toyota has ever built. This engine has an outstanding long-term reputation for durability, smooth power delivery, and high mileage reliability when maintained properly. For seniors, the 2007 also has another major advantage. It is slightly smaller and easier to park than later Highlanders. Visibility is excellent, the controls are simple, and the physical buttons are easy to reach and understand. The one thing I always tell buyers is to check the headlights. First-generation Highlanders often develop yellowed or foggy headlight lenses, which can reduce nighttime visibility significantly. Budget around $200 for a professional restoration because night driving safety is worth every penny. This next one is what I call the quiet winner, the SUV that does not get flashy attention, but keeps proving itself year after year. The second best year is the 2011 Highlander. This is one of the strongest sweet spots in the lineup because, by this point, Toyota had worked through most of the early second-generation problems from 2008. Reliability improved noticeably, and many owners report these vehicles crossing 200,000 miles with relatively low major repair frequency, especially with the V6 models. It offers a smooth ride, a quiet cabin, strong visibility, and fewer overcomplicated electronics compared to newer vehicles. For seniors who want comfort without excessive technology frustration, this is exactly the kind of SUV that quietly does its job for years. Now we get to the year many mechanics will tell you to buy immediately if you find a clean one. The third best year is the 2013 Highlander, and this one deserves the word bulletproof. This is the final year of the second generation, which means Toyota had years to correct earlier issues. Final year models are often the safest used buys because the platform is fully matured, and 2013 is a perfect example. It also has one hidden advantage many buyers overlook, the V6 towing package. Even if you never tow anything, that package includes a heavier-duty radiator and an oil cooler, which helps the engine and transmission run cooler. Cooler operation means longer component life, and longer component life means fewer expensive surprises later. Seniors also tend to love the 2013 because of the dashboard ergonomics. The climate and radio controls are closer, easier to see, and more intuitive than the reach-heavy design introduced in 2014. Sometimes older design is simply better design. Now we arrive at the year I would personally buy for my own family if long-term reliability was the priority. The fourth best year is the 2016 Highlander. This is the last of the greats. If I had to choose one Highlander year for the average senior buyer who wants the best balance of comfort, reliability, and long-term peace of mind, this would be it. The reason is simple. It gives you the modern third-generation body style and updated safety features, but it keeps the older 6-speed automatic transmission before Toyota introduced the newer 8-speed unit in 2017. This is because the 2017 and 2018 Highlanders with the UA80 8-speed transmission became known for hesitation, jerky shifting, and what drivers call gear hunting, where the transmission keeps searching for the right gear. Seniors hate this because it makes low-speed traffic, parking, and merging feel inconsistent and uncomfortable. The 2016 avoids all of that. The 6-speed is smoother, more predictable, and proven. Combined with the easier step-in height of the newer body style, which is noticeably easier on the knees than older models, the 2016 becomes the gold standard. And finally, if your budget allows for something newer, this is the modern pick I would trust more. The fifth best year is the 2019 Highlander, especially later production models. I am intentionally not recommending 2018 because too many buyers confuse newer with better. The 2018 still sits in that 8-speed transmission danger zone where hesitation complaints remained common. By the later 2019 models, drivability had improved significantly, and owner confidence became much stronger, making it a safer recommendation for seniors who want a newer vehicle with modern driver assistance features. This includes Toyota safety sense systems like adaptive cruise control and lane departure warning, which can genuinely reduce fatigue during longer drives. For seniors who prioritize safety technology and still want strong long-term reliability, the late 2019 model is the better modern choice. Now, here is the most important buying rule of all. Do not shop by year alone. Shop by maintenance history. A perfect Goodyear Highlander with neglected oil changes, poor transmission service, hidden accident damage, and ignored suspension wear can be far worse than a so-called bad year that was maintained obsessively by one careful owner. Always check service records. Always test drive the vehicle long enough to feel transmission behavior. Listen for front suspension clunks. Inspect for coolant leaks, check for oil seepage, and pay attention to how easily you can get in and out of the cabin. Sit in the seat for longer than 2 minutes. Adjust the climate controls. Turn the headlights on at night if possible. Small comfort details are way more important than sales brochures hype. And if there is one thing I would strongly recommend, it is paying for a professional pre-purchase inspection. Spending $100 or $200 before buying can save you thousands later. That is not an expense, it is insurance against regret. So if I had to summarize this simply, avoid the 2003, 2008, 2014, and 2015 Highlanders. Strongly consider the 2007, 2011, 2013, 2016, and late 2019 models. And if you are buying as a senior, prioritize smooth shifting, seat comfort, visibility, easy dashboard controls, and repair predictability over appearance and hype. Because the best SUV is not the one that looks newest in the driveway. It is the one that quietly starts every morning, drives smoothly, keeps your back comfortable, and never surprises you with a repair bill that ruins your month. That is the Highlander you actually want. If this video helped you, like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel for more buying guides. And before you go, watch this next video on the channel. Toyota RAV4 years to avoid and best years to buy.